Khandamandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam tatpadam darshidam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjanam shalakaya Chakshurumilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, there is no particular subject decided today for the satsang. Like Sri Gopalakrishna said, a satsang is Sangha and Sat. Sat meaning the truth. Now, when you say truth, is it something to do with speaking the truth daily, or is it something to do with ultimate truth? So the word Sat means that which is not Asat. Asat means that which is here today and gone tomorrow. I think everything is that way. I, you, we are here today and gone tomorrow. Some live for a long time, some live for a short time, but we are gone. And this world, if you go to Rome and look at the Colosseum, there are just pillars left. Even that has gone. So, a thoughtful person begins to think, I come from a country, India, where for generations, from ancient times, serious people have taken up the subject of understanding the truth. When others were technologically doing well, we were involved in discovering the inner. If much of it is sustained today or not, I can't tell you. But this is what was before. And therefore, the intelligent person, I'm sure we are all intelligent people in some way, are very quickly know what is permanent and what is not permanent, impermanent. And Sat is that which is always there, as opposed to that which is here today and gone tomorrow. And Sangha simply means a group of like-minded people interested in finding the truth. While I refer to truth in the ordinary sense of the term first, which is, does it refer to speaking truth daily? I would like to say this. If we cannot stick to the truth in our daily life, it would be a contradiction to search for the universal truth. Here we are 24 hours, we tell lies, and we are searching for the universal truth. Is this going to work? Not possible. At least you should practice it in daily life to the best extent possible, unless you are a lawyer or a politician. So, this is important to note. Why I'm saying this is because in the ancient teachings, the search for the truth is accompanied by a changing of your lifestyle, how to live. These are called the yamas and niyamas of existence. Without practicing yama and niyama, one cannot move, because what we are looking at is not intellectual speculation, but actually coming face to face with that which is real. This has been the core of India's philosophy, teachings, and mystic experience, proved by so many generations of great rishis who actually touched the truth and came back and said, here it is. So we have all the teachings with us. Atulji, while introducing, said that there are different paths like karma, jnana, bhakti, and so on. If I go a step further, I would say that as many number of people there are on this earth, there must be that many number of paths to the truth. In fact, it's a generalization, of course, Some people fall in this category, some in that, but all of us in some way are the same and in some way are different. And therefore, I think as many number of people are there, that many approaches to the truth is possible. And this is not what I am saying. 2000 years ago, the Rig Veda declared, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vedanti. There is only one truth, but the wise may call it by different names. Why would they call it by different names? Because different people would understand it in different ways. And because it's an universal, all-pervading, supreme reality which cannot be understood by our puny little intellect. Some people think that the Upanishads teach abstract philosophy and it's for the intellectuals and so on. I think the main teaching of the Upanishad is that the intelligent man quickly realizes the limitations of his intellect. It takes a hard time for people who are not so intelligent to find this out, but the intelligent man quickly understands that there is a limitation to the intellect. In fact, there is an Upanishad which says that even that which we look for, the truth, even the mind cannot reach. Which means what? If the mind cannot reach, then there is no way out. Yan manasana manyute yanahur manomatam kenopanishad. It simply means that the ordinary mind, caught up in its attractions and distractions, has not settled down and become tranquil, cannot touch it. That's what it means. Because if the mind, even the subtle mind cannot touch it, what does it matter to me? It's there and I'm here, that's fine. Carry on. It doesn't mean that. It means that the ordinary mind, which is caught up in distractions and confusion, where the mind does not become steady, where the mind is always floating and depends on the opinion of others for its existence, such a mind cannot find. Since we are on the subject, temples, as to both of the speakers said before, have been centers of learning from time immemorial. Not only centers of learning, centers of worship, and from worship, the next step is learning. Even dance, music, everything is conducted in the temple. In Kerala, every temple used to have something called a Kootambalam, which means a place which is reserved for dance and music. So, what does it mean? It means a temple is a cultural center, apart from the worshipping center, so that people come together and share their thoughts, and a temple attracts people who have walked the spiritual path. So you share thoughts with them. This is the most important part. So coming to a temple and worshipping and staying and hearing people talk and having satsangs, soon you begin to realize that we are all temples carrying a spark of the divine in our hearts as the Antaryami and walking around. So we are temples which walk. We're not temples which are stuck. Moving temples. So how do we live in this world? What do you do when you come to the temple? You do seva. Now how do you serve a temple which is walking around? By doing seva to the human being. In fact, if you serve the human being, whom Swami Vivekananda called the less privileged ones, Daridri Narayana, then by that serving, by that seva, not only you're not actually giving anything to the other guy, he is helping you to clear your mind. Because the more day seva you do, the purer your heart gets. And the purer your heart gets, the quieter it becomes, The quieter it becomes, the reflection of the Supreme, the clearer it becomes. I thought it went off. The easier for the reflection of the divine to be recognized inside the heart. Having said this, my original intention coming here, before I had a discussion with others, was to take up the Gayathri mantra. Because I saw we were going to a temple. There is Padmanabha Swami lying down, as he does in Trivandrum, which is my hometown. And there is a lotus coming out of his navi, so it's called Padmanabha. And here we have Balaji, Tirupati Balaji sitting on one side. You know, I recently had a surgery for hernia some time back, and I was taken to the hospital. And I told the hospital, I don't want to have general anesthesia. I have general anesthesia, I may not come back. So give me local anesthesia. So they gave me a local anesthesia. They didn't allow me to see the surgery, but I could hear everything going on. And after a while, there were two doctors and an anesthetist. And one doctor who was actually doing the surgery, his name was Ananteshwara. The other who was assisting him was actually an expert brain surgeon, but he decided to chip in to help. And I told him, doctor, this is not the brain, but he said, no, I want to be there. We were doing it in his hospital. His name was Venkatramana. And behind the anesthetist, her name was Gayathri. So in the middle of the operation, the surgery, Dr. Ananteshwar asked me, sir, are you feeling worried or stressed out or fearful of anything? I said, what am I to be fearful of? On the right side stands Ananteshwara, the left stands Govinda, and behind me is Gayatri Devi. There is nothing to worry. In the same way, for this surgery here that we are trying to do, we have Ananteshwara on one side, we have Siva on the other extra. And then we have Tirupati Balaji there. I thought I would add Gayathri. There are many Devis here. There's a beautiful Lakshmi here, Mahalakshmi, so beautifully done. Anyway, that's not our subject right now. Shilpa Shastra is a completely different department. Anyway, the Gayathri. I hope I can discuss the Gayathri. Any problem? No, but when it comes to Gayathri, there are some. Anyway, so the mantra, as we know it, I am very much against people fixing Gayatri mantra in the reverse horn of their cars in India. This has become a habit. You put a tape, and when you reverse, Om Bhur Bhuvasas, this is not the thing. You don't chant Gayatri like that. It's a sacred mantra. You don't put it in the car when it reverses back. And they're also in one tune, which somebody has sung, it's being repeated again and again. Gayatri can't be sung, it has to be chanted. The chandas is chanting, not singing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, at least that much, instead of pop music. So, the mantra is Om Bhur Bhuva Swa. It's not Swaha, please. Om Bhur Bhuva Swa Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yohana Prachodayat. This is the mantra. Now, if we take up the first part, which is Om Bhur Bhuva Swa, we can have 3 satsangs on it. So we won't go into detail on this, but we'll touch on this slightly before going to the content, the actual matter of the mantra. If I am wrong, please correct me. Om first. But we can't not touch it. Because Om is the pranava, it's the life of everything. Wherever you go, there is the pranava going on, whether you hear it or not. It's a primordial sound which is there even before creation and continues even when this world is gone. Pranava. Now, you all must have heard in many places, read, that Om is made up of A, U and Ma. So usually it's interpreted A, U, Ma, Om. A being the beginning of creation, creator, U being the sustainer, and M, the last being Maheshwara, the destroyer. Not destroyer actually, because if the old is not destroyed, there will be no place for the new, so it's transforming. Ma. Now this is normally defined this way. But there is an Upanishad which is called, it's a very important Upanishad. It has only 12 slokas. And this Upanishad is kind of the essence of Vedanta, and it's called the Mandukya Upanishad. There have been so many controversies on the term Mandukya, because Mandukya means a frog. So somebody said some rishi called Mandukya wrote it. Frog rishi. I asked Maheshwarnath Babaji, my guru, what is the Mandukya? He said, simply to illustrate that it doesn't matter how the source looks, but the wisdom is more important. The toad looks very ugly. It doesn't matter. What comes out, wisdom is more important. 1. 2, the frog is one of those creatures whose life passes through many transformations. What is it called? Metamorphosis. Biology. Now in metamorphosis, first it's in water, tadpole. Then the tail breaks. Right? First it's a brahmachari and a grahastha, tadpole with a little tail here. And then the tail is gone and it becomes a sannyasi. So, then what happens? As a tadpole, it can only live on water. When it becomes a frog, it can live on water as well as on land, which is the ideal state of a person who has had the Vedantic experience, not scholarship. We can live anywhere because there is no going in or going out, anywhere. Have you seen any picture of Ramana Maharshi with eyes closed anywhere? Because there was no point. There is no going in, there is no going out. Everything is the same. So the frog can live on the land as well as on water, and it illustrates the state of a sage who has touched that truth. But we are likely to reject it as a toad, frog. Anyway, that doesn't matter. It's still going on, controversy. Why it's called Mandukya. But why I'm saying this, that Mandukya has another explanation for the sound Om. Mandukya, in its 12 verses, only 12, the shortest, does not tell you what to do, what not to do, this ritual, that, nothing. It simply discusses the question of the 3 states of consciousness and the 4th through which all human beings pass. And these states don't have a gender, they don't have a race, they don't have color. There is nothing. They are common to all human beings. What are these states? According to the Mandukya, on which the great teacher Gaudapada has written a voluminous commentary, And Shankara has written a Karika on Gaudapada's Karika which runs into 1,000 pages or more. So you can understand how important it is. I'm not saying other Upanishads are not important. I'm just saying, since we are on the subject of Om, the Mandukya describes it this way, that A, the sound, A, stands for the Jagrita Avastha. Jagrita means waking state of consciousness which is common to all of us. I hope now we are awake, but generally. The waking state of consciousness. And then the O, Om, the O, represents Swapnavastha, dream state, which is also called Tejasa, because in the dream there is no light, your eyes are closed. There is no electric light in there, no external light, but you see the dream in complete light inside. It's self-illumined, and therefore it's called Tejasa. So, okay, now look at this dream state. It's very interesting. When you're actually dreaming, do you know that it's a dream? I mean, generally not, sometimes, but most probably not. When you wake up, you say, oh, I had a long dream. Right? And it's so real when you're dreaming, when a tiger is chasing you, that when you wake up, you're still sweating and palpitating because it's so real. And at that point, you would not call it a dream. When you wake up, you say, oh, that was a dream. Now, and this is common to all. The great sage Rajarishi Janaka of Videha once had a dream. He dreamt that he was a beggar. And in his dream, he was begging, suffering without food, hungry. And then he woke up. He woke up. He found that he was lying in his luxurious bed in the palace. He was called Rajarishi for two reasons. One is that he was one of the kings among rishis, and also a rishi and a king together. Not easy, okay? It usually doesn't work that way. Either you're a king or you're a rishi. So this is a unique example. Because the king has too many distractions to become a rishi. Anyway, so when he woke up, he had this central question in his mind. His guru was the great sage Yajnavalkya. So when he came, he asked him, sir, please tell me, am I a king or am I a beggar? What if this dream had stretched on for many days? I would have thought I was a beggar. Now you wake up and I find that I am a king. So which is the real state? Am I a king or am I a beggar? At that time it was very real to me. So then Yajnavalkya explains to him that in dream state, the waking state is unreal. Waking state, the dream state is unreal. So they are relatively real and not absolutely real. But there is something which is real, and that is the witness that watches both the dream and the deep sleep and waking state. There is a witness. That witness is real. But the drama that happens around the witness, dream and waking state, are relatively real and therefore not absolutely real. Relatively real, of course. Like we are sitting here, Mr. Ambassador Kapoor is solid, I can't pass through him. We are agreed. But that's in this state. In another state, it may be different. So it's relatively real and not absolutely real. The waking and the dream state, and it is something that we all go through, and therefore it's a wonderful lesson to understand that in different states, what is real here may not be real in the other. Then you have ma sound, om. The sound represents what is called sushupti, which means deep sleep. You know what happens in deep sleep? One of the reasons why we really relax and are rejuvenated in deep sleep, because in deep sleep we don't know who we are. The moment I know who I am, my name and my title and my this and my that, I can't have rest. I'm distracted. I say, I'm so and so, I went into a crowd, nobody recognized me. Terrible. But in deep sleep, I don't know. There is no outward cognition. There is no inner cognition. There is no cognition, inner and outer together. There is nothing there except deep rest and sleep. But there certainly has been a witness even during that time, although we are not aware of it at that point. Why? Because when we wake up after a deep sleep, we always say, that was so blissful. Who experienced the bliss? I was not aware at that point. So there is an agent, there is someone who has even witnessed that rest of deep sleep and considered it as absolute heaven. Bhur bhuva suva. We'll come to that. Now, Om. Now, these are the three states normally known to mankind, to us. The rishis have said that there is something called Turiya. Now that Turiya is the ardhamatra. When you say Om, see, it's represented by a chandrakala, a small crescent on the top of Om with a small dot on it. That is the ardhamatra. That is the sound that echoes and goes off as you finish chanting. And that is that which cannot be defined. And that which cannot be defined is the Turiya. And Turiya is not a state, it's rather the witness of all the three states, being free of all the three states and in complete solitude, and yet aware of everything. You can't explain it in any other way. But the way to it, to understand it, is through Sushupti. Let us say that it's possible for us to suddenly wake up in the middle of deep sleep, not wake up, in the middle of Sushupti, deep sleep, if there is an awareness, what happens? That is Turiya. But it can't be. If there was a way of attaining Turiya through sleep, then everybody would have attained it. Unfortunately, no. It's just a pointer that this is possible, there is something. So Om, according to the Mandukya, is a sum total of the understanding that there is a living, free, ever free witness in the midst of all the states of consciousness through which we move. And the moment we start understanding it even a little bit and moving towards it, we are becoming slowly free of the conditionings of the outer world. And to reach there, different acharyas have given different ways of reaching there. There is the Advaita Vedanta, there is the Vishishta. I'm sure if you say Vedanta, most people think of only Advaita Vedanta. Unfortunately, even in India, once I was invited to Harvard for a talk, and I went there, in the philosophy department, many years ago. There were some learned professors there, all whites. And when I said Vedanta twice in the course of my discussion, of my talk, one of them put his hand up. Sir, I said, sir, what? He said, when you say Vedanta, are you referring to the Advaita Vedanta of Shankara, or the Vishishta Advaita of Ramanuja, or the Dvaita Vedanta of Madhvacharya? Which Vedanta, or Nimbarka, or any one of these? So which one are you talking about? I said, sir, I'm so happy that you asked me the question, because in my country nobody asked me. I don't know whether they know it or they don't ask it out of respect, I don't know. So, different acharyas have found different ways to understand this truth. But no acharya disagrees on this, that the mind has to be purified. So forget about the definitions. When you reach there, you find out for yourself. But everyone says that the mind is covered by dross, it has to be purified. And if it is purified either through bhakti or through karma or through intellectual and jnana, then it shines forth. And when it shines forth, it cannot be mistaken, because as Shankara said, it is that which cannot be defined by any of our normal modes of definitions. Which is why he said not this, not this, not this, until you come to that which cannot be reduced anymore. When you come to the irreducible substratum, which you can't do anything more, then it is. So therefore, if that is the case, is there a way to it? Or is it that when we understand that there is no way to it and surrender, it's possible? These are two ways of looking at it. Yes, you have to purify your mind, you have to follow yama niyamas, you have to make your mind subtle, all that is true. But in the ultimate essence, can I do anything about it? Okay, it's like this. Suppose this essence that we seek is all pervading, suppose. Upanishad says yes. Isha vashyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Last part is difficult. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Let go and rejoice. That's the most difficult part. But Ishavashyamidam sarvam, that reality, that Sat, pervades everything here. Okay. Suppose the truth was there and I am here, then I can move towards it. I can find out ways. What if it is here? How do I go? It's right here, right? So the great sages have said, when all movement ceases, when all grasping and groping comes to an end, then when the mind is in its tranquil state, let go of all this movement. Tena tyaktena bhunjita, let go and rejoice. Even in ordinary things it applies. If you have too much gas in the tummy, let go. Otherwise you can't rejoice, I'm telling you. Of course, public, you have to be careful, but what I'm trying to say is that tenseness of saying I am has to go. When this goes, you don't look for it anywhere, you stop looking and you just settle down. Then the mind in its tranquility perhaps understands this. But unfortunately, we're caught up and crowded by so many things that it is often difficult to penetrate and go inside, more so when we have studied too many scriptures or books. We tend to believe that what's written in the book we are experiencing, when actually we are only reading. One doesn't become the Brahman by keeping on saying Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. You're not Aham Brahmasmi. You can't go and stand in front of a speeding train. You got to find out. It's an experience, anubhava. It's not theory. I want to tell you how the empty mind, when it is, well, the Buddhists call it Sunyatha. I have no argument with that. It's called Shunya simply because there is no way it can be explained. And it is the same as saying, Yadvajana abhyutitam, that which words cannot explain. Which means when the mind is completely clear, empty. Now, when I say empty, not only just all our distracting thoughts, also free of its selfishness and self-centeredness and ego. When this is clear, then it's there. There's nowhere to look for it. It's here, there and everywhere. So I want to tell you a little story. Oh, we have to go to the Gayathri. Anyway, so a little story about a very great scholar. I'm sure many of you must have heard of. Kavyakanta Ganapati Shastrigal was a scholar. I don't think in contemporary times there was anybody like him. There was no Vedantic understanding which he did not have. He had not read. And on top of that, he was a Srividya Upasaka. His interpretation of the Saundari Lahari is even today beautiful, it's wonderful. And such a person was wandering around because he felt that there was, with all this knowledge, there was some barrier which separated him, finally. He couldn't cut that barrier. So, one day, he came to Tiruvannamalai. Sir, Atulji, how much time do we have? Okay. So, he came to Tiruvannamalai and somebody told him that on the top of the hill, there is, nobody knew Ramana as Ramana Maharshi or anything at that point. Said some Brahmana Swami is sitting on the top of the hill. Maybe he will solve your problem. Try. So he went up. It is said that Maharshi was sitting with his eyes open as usual. But he didn't register this guy coming. He was just sitting. After a few minutes, he turned and looked at him. You know, he hardly spoke. So he put up his hand and did like this, which means what? Shastrigal was waiting for the coup to ask. He burst out 15 full minutes on all he did. Where he started, what he did, this I studied, this I did, this I did, this I think Maharshi must have been counting the number of eyes there. Anyway, he said, I did this and that. Then finally he asked him, now what can I do? What more should I do? It's a beautiful statement. In Tamil, Maharshi smiled and said, Konja nera summa irukka mudiyuma. Can you shut up for a while? Keep quiet. Don't talk. If I follow that principle, then there will be no satsang. So said, shut up and keep quiet. And then it hit him. He understood what was being said. The burdens were down. Everything was over. He was washed clean. And then when he came out, he was a different man. And it was he who actually, for the first time, went and spread the word. Why are you wasting time? There is a Maharshi sitting up there. And since his name was Venkataramana, he became Ramana Maharshi. So, Bhur Bhuvassuva. So, Om Bhur Bhuvassuva. Now, Bhu is a short form of Bhuloka, meaning waking state. Again, Bhuvaloka, the next realm, which is Swapna, and Suva, Swarga, which is deep sleep, Sushupti. Beyond that, to understand, the Gayatri's prayer is, what is beyond these three states, may I understand. For that I need my intelligence activated and stimulated. So therefore, after Om Bhur Bhuvassuva, it also means that the chanting of the Gayatri affects you in all these three stages. It affects you when you're awake, it affects you when you're in a dream, it affects you when you're in deep sleep, if you are chanting. But who chants nowadays? People don't even know that there are three sandhyas. The other day I said three sandhyas. Somebody said, no, there are only two. I said, there are three sandhyas. Sandhya is the meeting place of time. When the shadows lengthen in the noon, that is also a sandhya. You're not even aware of that, then what sandhya will you do? Doesn't matter. Forget sandhya vandana, it's a long process. At least you can chant the Gayatri. Look. People come to me and ask, I want to take a mantra from you. Okay, what's your name? Sheshadri. That's a typical Brahmin name, Sheshadri. Okay. Haven't you got your Gayathri when you were young? Yes. Then why are you asking me for a mantra? Why don't you chant? He has not chanted it for 35 years. So what did you do in 35 years? I chanted 35 mantras. Each mantra for 2 months or 1 year. Stick to your mantra and it can carry you through. It has all the things necessary to make the mind clear and awaken your intelligence to understand the truth. So, after Bhur-Bhuvaswa comes the body of the mantra, the actual. It says, Tat Savitrvarenyam. I bow down and worship that Savitr, the controller of the universe, which physically is the sun, but actually means the Supreme Being. Sun is here a symbol of the Supreme Being. Controller of the universe, Savitra. I, Varenyam, I bow down too. Again, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhi is the root from which the word dhyana comes. Dhimahi means meditate upon. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, that Supreme Lord, Deva, who is ever effulgent, Bhargo. To him, on him, or on it, I meditate. Difficult to say him, she, and so on. On that I meditate. Dio Yohana Prachodayat. May my intelligence be stimulated or awakened so that I can grasp these truths which are so difficult for the ordinary mind to grasp, for the distracted mind to grasp, for the mind which is always caught up in possessions, including physical as well as possessions of knowledge, to grasp. May I understand this. If I don't, this is the, well, I can't say this is the definition of Gayathri. I can say this is my understanding of it to some extent. Because these are all infinite things. You can't say, oh, this is, there's much more to it. Somebody may know more. The first step in understanding yourself is to realize that you don't know everything. There may be others who know better. That's the first step. Because the moment I start exploring, saying I know everything, there is no exploration. It's finished. The barrier has already been put. So can I, with a free mind, look into this matter? This is the meaning of a satsanga, in which today we dealt with the Gayathri. Thank you very much. Namaskar.